Letter the Ninth of Lesley Castle by Jane Austen. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Lesley Castle. Letter the Ninth from Mrs. Marlowe to Miss Luttrell.
Grosvenor Street, April 10th. Need I say, my dear Eloisa, how welcome your letter was to me? I cannot give a greater proof of the pleasure I received from it, or of the desire I feel that our correspondence may be regular and frequent, than by setting you so good an example as I now do in answering it before the end of the week. But do not imagine that I claim any merit in being so punctual. On the contrary, I assure you that it is a far greater gratification to me to write to you than to spend the evening either at a concert or a ball. Mr. Marlowe is so desirous of my appearing at some of the public places every evening that I do not like to refuse him, but at the same time so much wish to remain at home that, independent of the pleasure I experience in devoting any portion of my time to my dear Eloisa, yet the liberty I claim, from having a letter to write, of spending an evening at home with my little boy, you know me well enough to be sensible, will of itself be a sufficient inducement, if one is necessary, to my maintaining with pleasure a correspondence with you. As to the subject of your letters to me, whether grave or merry, if they concern you, they must be equally interesting to me. Not but that I think the melancholy indulgence of your own sorrows by repeating them and dwelling on them to me will only encourage and increase them, and that it will be more prudent in you to avoid so sad a subject. But yet, knowing as I do what a soothing and melancholy pleasure it must afford you, I cannot prevail on myself to deny you so great an indulgence, and will only insist on your not expecting me to encourage you in it by my own letters. On the contrary, I intend to fill them with such lively wit and enlivening humour as shall even provoke a smile in the sweet but sorrowful countenance of my Eloisa. In the first place, you are to learn that I have met your sister's 3 friends, Lady Lesley and her daughters, twice in public since I have been here. I know you will be impatient to hear my opinion of the beauty of 3 ladies of whom you have heard so much. Now, as you are too ill and too unhappy to be vain, I think I may venture to inform you that I like none of their faces so well as I do your own. Yet they are all handsome. Lady Lesley indeed I have seen before. Her daughters, I believe, would in general be said to have a finer face than her ladyship. And yet what with the charms of a blooming complexion, a little affectation, and a great deal of small talk, in each of which she is superior to the young ladies, she will, I dare say, gain herself as many admirers as the more regular features of Matilda and Margaret. I am sure you will agree with me in saying that they can none of them be of a proper size for real beauty, when you know that 2 of them are taller, and the other shorter than ourselves. In spite of this defect, or rather by reason of it, there is something very noble and majestic in the figures of the Miss Lesleys, and something agreeably lively in the appearance of their pretty little mother-in-law. But though one may be majestic and the other lively, yet the faces of neither possess that bewitching sweetness of my Eloisa's, which her present languor is so far from diminishing. What would my husband and brother say of us if they knew all the fine things I have been saying to you in this letter? It is very hard that a pretty woman is never to be told she is so by any one of her own sex, without that person's being suspected to be either her determined enemy or her professed toad-eater. How much more amiable are women in that particular? One man may say 40 civil things to another without our supposing that he is ever paid for it, and provided he does his duty by our sex, we care not how polite he is to his own. Mrs. Luttrell will be so good as to accept my compliments, Charlotte my love, and Eloisa the best wishes for the recovery of her health and spirits that can be offered by her affectionate friend E. Marlowe. I am afraid this letter will be but a poor specimen of my powers in the witty way, and your opinion of them will not be greatly increased when I assure you that I have been as entertaining as I possibly could.
End of Letter the Ninth.